Video explaining basically the assignment. So the assignment this week is about basically using DOM manipulation to create a project. So make sure you look into this. Make sure you read the description here. We have two sections. So we have the first task. So this is just an instruction of how to clone it. The second one is doing the adding the data to the page, and I will show you what that means. And then the last one is creating at least five event listeners into the project. So those are, and then you have the stretch. So those are the things. So read that instruction is really important. So once you clone it, this is what you will get. So this will be your project. You'll have the HTML, you'll have the original HTML. So the original HTML is how the website is supposed to look like. So if I show you how it's supposed to look like, this is how it's supposed to look like. So this is how it's supposed to be. You should have all this stuff. You should have the navigation here, and it should be responsive, but you don't touch any HTML, you don't touch any CSS, right? So keep that in mind. So if you're working on the project, make sure you don't change anything in the original file. Don't change anything in the index.html. The only place you're going to change anything is the index.js, right? And also we could see that in the GitHub. So just make sure, like you can see here, when the changes were made. So I will know if you made change. I'm just kidding. But make sure you only change the index.js file. Okay, so what is the assignment? So assignment is you have this large object, right? This object has all the content you need to make the website look the original, right? So you have the navigation here, you have the this is called CTA. You will see that in here in the HTML. So there's a CTA section. So this would be like the hero area, and then you have the main content, which is this area. So these are like the articles, and then you have the footer area, you have the contact area, and then you have the footer, right? So make sure when you're actually accessing these, make sure to use the bracket notation instead of the dot notation. The reason for that is some of the names like this. Let me zoom in a little bit. So like this, the main content has, as you can see, hyphen in the middle. So if you see hyphen in any of these, that means you have to use bracket notation. Sometimes it will work with dot notation, but in this lesson, it's designed for it to work with bracket notation. So I'll show you one example. So I already deleted, so I'm gonna undo it so we save time. So the example here is basically I wanted to add the logo, right? So the first thing I need to do is I need to select the logo. The logo has an ID, so this has to get element by ID. You could also say here query, instead of get element by ID, you could say query selector. But here you have to add the hash bound, right? So in here, if you go back here, you see that the logo has an ID called logo image, right? So that's when we did that. And then now all we do is we add attribute first. So the attribute set attribute, and yeah, you could go back to the lesson we did last time and go to the student portal. You will see that set attribute is used for this to set an image. So you will say source, and then you have to give the image URL. So image URL is in here. So if we go back to up here, you see that the first thing we select is the site content, which is this name, and then we set nav, and then we set image source, right? That's what we set here. So as you can see, that's what it looks like. So right now, this is the original. So let's close this. Let's go back here, and I have a little bit of a cold, so excuse me. So if we go back here to this index.html and we open it, you see that it has the logo, but it doesn't have anything else. So your job now is to add everything else, and also at least 5 event listeners. So that's your task. Inshallah, let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully you finish this by Friday. If you have any question, I'm always here.